We are live. Cool. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Website Redesign. Sorry for starting a little bit late if you're joining us on YouTube. So we will dive right into it since we have a couple people that need to pop off at 9:30. So we're going to start chatting about issue number 107. This is the tech stack consideration issue over here. We've been talking about Gatsby for quite a long time. I'm going to drop a link to this in the chat as well. Yeah, we've been talking about Gatsby for quite a long time, and I figure it's about time we get started and get a foundation going here. So we've been spinning the wheels on this, but I kind of have an idea of where we can take it in the next few weeks. So I just literally minutes before this meeting threw up a personal experiment over on my own fork of website redesign here, where it lives and where it goes. But I just dropped a link in the chat. This is amiller-github-gh/website redesign, the website prototype branch. It's just a simple Gatsby thing, and it will spit out just literally all the getting started content onto a website or onto a Gatsby project, just kind of a proof of concept of end-to-end data integration. So we have I think I want to get a first phase of this out, hopefully by February. Miles, what was the date? February 8th, you said?
12th.
12th, awesome.
Ready for production.
Since we have a lot of getting started content here, like we can get something up on a development or prototype website, literally just that learn page of getting started content, and actually make this use it as a platform to start soliciting feedback. So yeah, I'm wondering what people think about just moving ahead with this and just tackling it.
Don't have any objection to that.
Awesome. So we're also so we're Miles, I know you had talked a little bit about like we just need a pretty quick make this page pretty type of design. You had somebody at Google who was interested in helping out. Was that have you explored that resource at all anymore?
Yeah, so it was Adam Argyle, and they've said that they'd like to find some time. So I can point them towards, like what I think we could do is you have like that repo. It's this website prototype.
Yeah. So the link for people on the stream, it's Node.js-redesign.surge.sh. And it's just an unstyled prototype with content dumped up.
What I would love to do, if you would be up for it, would be to take like the source code that's in that. Let's open an issue on admin to make like a Node.js dev site repo within the org and get everyone who wants to participate invited to it and add it into the org. I can go through and wire up all the infrastructure for deployment on that, and we can just point Adam at it, and he can send some PRs for design. Or alternatively, if you want to do more of a structured thing, I can get him invited to this meeting. But I just have a feeling based on like the timeline that we're talking about, it may be faster, at the very least, for him to do it in issues and asynchronously rather than waiting for meetings.
Beautiful. I'm definitely happy with that. And if you want to shoot him my way one-on-one, I got some foundational stuff that I can kind of onboard him with for, color palette thoughts and stuff like that. And that the wireframe from a long time ago. So, and just to kind of talk about thoughts for the page itself. As for this actual content, like there's a whole bunch of stuff that we're gonna need to add just functionality wise, even before we get a look and feel thing down. So like we need a side menu that when you click on it will render pages individually. That's generated from the content. That would be nice. I'm going to take some time later today to, kind of break that apart into bite-sized dev issues that people can tackle async as they see fit. Do a little bit of project planning here. But I think by the end of this, we could pretty easily have a one-pager that just displays this content in a pretty way, which would be awesome. And it gives us a live playground to publicly start playing with look and feel and get a good look and feel proposal out there for actual site structure.
I think the content's really great, but the tutorial just sort of drops off the end. So we're also going to need like a conclusion or like a call to action at the end to like keep going. I think that's really the only like content editing that might be needed.
Yeah, and there's some just copy editing work that needs to be done. It's written first person through a lot of this because so this was all content donated by Flavio, who awesome developer and documenter over in Italy. But it was taken from a personal blog post of his, this giant getting started with Node.js content guide. So it's written first person. It actually it has a few opinions that might not be good on a Node.js getting started site that I want to walk through and groom a little bit more, and then definitely making sure it flows in this format.
Adam, where in the repo is the content itself?
Yeah, so the content itself lives in website redesign right now. I think the long-term goal is to get this to live inside Node.js/Node, right alongside drop it. Oops, sorry. It's in the documentation folder.
I mean, in the repo, whereas like the markdown file that has the content.
Yeah, it's so it all lives in that documentation folder in the main repo. We have a RFC process for pulling in new docs.
Okay, so it's not in the website prototype branch?
No, it's not in the branch itself. The goal for the site is just to pull content from a slew of different data sources and stitch it together.
Okay.
No content should actually live in the website repo itself.
And that's all grepped during the build step?
Yeah, basically. So right now, and we can talk about better ways to do this, and we're actually going to have to talk with the ITN group pretty soon about how best to do this. But we're right now we're literally I'm literally depending on the website redesign repo at a certain commit, and just grabbing it from node modules as part of the Gatsby build. So there's probably smarter ways to do that. So that's other work that gets to be done.
Okay, I see what you did.
Yeah, we need to sync with internationalization to see, well, one, to get this content in the translation pipeline, which is hopefully going to be fairly non-trivial, but then also figure out what format they're exporting it in and make sure that we can ingest that in a happy way down the line. I think this will work fine for our purposes for the February goal date.
The concern I would have with it would be if the content is all living on different places and the site itself has like a hard link to the commit for that, it will be extremely hard for people to know where to go to contribute back and how, once it's contributed back, automating the process of redeploying it. So I can take a look at that and come up with some suggestions about how to maybe streamline that.
Yeah, that would be awesome to get any suggestions in the pipeline. I depending on a specific commit hash is definitely not scalable. But the hope here is that we can kind of set up an auto deploy when new content comes through the pipeline, depend directly on wherever the content is published, so that this getting started content, if you're adding a new commit to Node Core and it changes how you actually start using stuff, you can, in the same feld swoop, update the documentation, which also lives alongside the code it documents in Node Core. Same thing with like perf testing, we can go to the like it can live in its respective repos.
The infrastructure that I was looking to spin up was going to use Cloud Build, and so essentially what it was going to do is every time there was a PR, it would actually build the site, put it into a bucket, and give you a link so you could view what the site looked like with your changes, and then auto deploy for anything that lands on master. That was kind of like the goal for the infrastructure. And I'll just think about how we can link in content changes and how to drive people towards it. Yeah, I'll follow up offline about that.
Yeah, so I know that the internationalization folks have the tool they're using will watch individual repos for content updates, and then it goes through the translation pipeline. And I think their plan is to publish out to a node module with content, translated content. So if we hook up something like Greenkeeper to the website proper, like we can get an automatic PR when new content comes through the translation pipeline. and possibly have that kick off new builds for the site. That might be one way to go about it. But
yeah, I don't know that that's necessarily any better than just like automating a PR that adds it to the repo, but I'll save my tech nits for later. A question for Jen and Potch. I'm assuming that we wanted to maybe take some of the examples that are in there and make them a little more interactive. What was your vision as far as, like how Glitch would fit into this, or what kind of work you wanted to help out with?
Go ahead, Potch.
I think that at the highest level, it's taking some of these like full-fledged examples. Like you scroll down, a screen full, and you see an example Node.js application, your standard like HTTP and you're off kind of thing. That could actually be an embedded running application, and they can click and get their own like little container version of it and make a change and check it out right in the browser. So if they want to change the HTML that it sends or whatever, it would take like one click. Like it would be, I think that's like the sort of at the highest level, we can just any of these fully fledged things that do some serving. I dropped a link of literally an embed that's just a live version of the like basic example in chat. So you can picture sort of in that same footprint an interactive split view between what the actual server is rendering to the client and the code itself. And I think there are lots of checkpoints throughout this document where these little fully fledged, servers and can all just be live and people can play with them. So if they want to see how that works and what breaks, they can make changes and it will be their own fork of it. So it won't break everyone else. It's not one, it's not one scope. The larger question would be for some of so this is not really docs, which means that we don't have to worry about like sort of just seeing the we don't have to worry about just seeing the sort of an interactive console, but anything where we have these fully fledged examples, I think is going to be a great first start, and then we can talk about how to have something more reply if we wanted to down the line. But definitely to start dropping in interactive examples wherever they seem clear and obvious.
Yeah, and we'll be willing to build those out and add them. And also, we welcome any feedback for any things that we may hit where you're like, well, I wish embeds did this. We've been pretty quick to act on them as we worked with embeds with Google, for example. So yeah, we're very flexible with that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Excited to see that happen. Yeah, so Potch, you and I on the side can probably think about how that looks like if you haven't taken a look already, but like the Gatsby, it'll probably just be a Gatsby remark plugin that'll go through and rewrite stuff on the fly as it goes out, right? Is that what you're thinking?
It's either that or pure iframes pointed to the content.
Yeah.
And honestly, like looking at some of the content, doing it in using glitch instead of just static code blocks, it could actually reduce some of the jitter inside of the content in terms of going context switching and going back and forth between code blocks. So that's beneficial, I think, to do possibly the iframe, and it might include rewriting some of the content to slim it down.
Yeah, you can put more than one file, or you can have, take where it's code block text, and actually have a larger code block with comments maybe interspersed, so people get a better feel for it.
Awesome. That's very exciting. Cool. Well, we'll keep talking tech in the GitHub issues. Miles, I'm looking forward to meeting Adam and seeing what he has to contribute over on the repo. And we'll open up that ticket. We'll take that opening up the ticket and admin to make the new repo for it as an action item, immediate action item after this meeting. Sweet. Miles, Jen, since we only have you for 5 more minutes, are there any other top of mind issues you want to talk about before moving on?
I don't have any.
No. Awesome.
Yeah, I think, right now I want to just dig into the architecture and, I'll bike shit about that separately. I guess like the biggest thing to go over right now, just to like reiterate all the things and make sure that we have consensus and no one has problems with it. Seems like the plan right now is to make a new repo in the Node.js org, and then to transfer the like base website content that you had in your branch there over to that repo. Then we would work through like the means that we normally do in the foundation for getting that wired up with any integrations that we need. Then we would point people who are going to participate directly at the repo itself for doing style changes, preferably maybe opening issues with suggestions before doing a bunch of work. And then we'll figure out a flow for content in the next week or two. And then Patrogen, if you're doing it, like we'll have like a documented process of where and how to send PRs for that. Does that all sound like in line with what we were saying?
Yep, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, pretty much as long as there's a place to go and I know how to open PRs, well, I'll be good to go.
Okay, great. And I think that will like truthfully, be a really good litmus test. So like if you have friction as you're going along, Potch, please document it and let us know, because you've I don't want to say you've been around the block, but like you've done this for a minute and you know some best practices. So if you're dealing with friction and collaborating when we're all working directly together, new people when we do this launch will definitely have that exact same problem and not necessarily have the same ability to navigate it. So I think, at least for myself, and maybe we can have consensus on this first, I would like to make one of the core ideologies of this that it's easy to contribute to and easy for people to participate in. And I want to make it very transparent for that process.
Definitely. I don't think you'll get much pushback on consensus on that point from this group. So.
All right, cool. Thank you, everyone, for putting the time and effort into this. I really appreciate it. This is going to be a great landing page.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And I'm psyched to see this thing launch, and I'm psyched to get to phase 2. We can start building out the other sections of it. So, cool. Thank you, Miles. Thank you, Jen. I know you have to cut off.
See you later.
Ta-ta for now.
See ya. Cool. Let's move on. Hit some of the more procedural issues here in the repo. So next one, at least tagged for more discussion, is issue number 99, Docs Hackathons. Mila, you want to talk about progress here, and do we want to remove the flag on this until maybe after the landing page is out next time?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that one was initially pinned as a issue to be. Can you hear me? Yeah, I think that one was initially pinned as an issue to be discussed while we figured out if that could be used to leverage the content generation for Docs. Now that we have a large influx of Docs content coming in periodically, we can probably take that one out. And the updates there, I think the last time we had talked about it, we had intended to formalize how we've done Docs Hackathons. And until that's happened, there's really no need to discuss it in the meetings.
Cool. I'll remove the label. And do you want to leave the ticket open just as a stake in the ground for chatting about it later, or should we close it and reopen something similar once we...
I think leaving it as stake in the ground sounds like a good idea. We can circle back to it if it becomes relevant again.
Cool. We will do that. And last issue, official issue on the agenda, number 61 over here. And then I have one more issue to chat about after we get through this as well. So, but issue number 61 is Node.js docs survey. I think you also have most context here.
Sure. Let me just pull up the issue.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish issues...
Oh, or we have Tyranny on here too. Tyranny, you open the issue yourself. So.
We do.
Oh, right.
I don't know what the latest update is on this. Yeah, how long has this been on? I don't know if this has been distributed.
Been around a bit.
Yeah, I mean,
last update was December 5th.
We discussed getting some more of the questions out. Someone put together a form, but I don't know if that we should be using that. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I want to add one more point to that. After the form was put together, I think we pinged user feedback with like a link to the form and said that it had been iterated over and asked them for their input on it. I'll drop this over there. Anyone in user feedback who's present in user feedback, if you could bring that to the meeting, that'd be great. Then we could probably move forward on this, because I think this was the next step.
Mm-hmm. Next user feedback meeting is, pop it up on the calendar, tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Do one or a couple of us want to pop in there and throw this on their agenda?
Is that 9 o'clock what?
Oh, sorry, 9 o'clock West Coast US time.
Oh, right.
This time tomorrow.
Yeah, I've got a hard conflict for that one. I won't be able to.
Okay, let me take the commitment then to get that, bring that tomorrow. I'll try and get it on their agenda if I can. Is there a label for, like an org-wide label for user feedback?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
Okay, cool. I'll just go comment on their meeting issue after this. Bring that tomorrow since I have the cycles for that.
Thanks, Adam.
Somehow. Yeah, we'll get that moving. Cool. And then the one other issue not on the agenda for today, we talked a little bit in the last ComCom meeting about how we want foundation content to factor into new website stuff. And we also have Rachel on the call over here. I think Sarah mentioned she was interested in chatting more about it, but it looks like she wasn't able to join today.
Yeah.
But yeah, so last I remember, chat left off with we're interested in it, especially with merger stuff happening. We don't know exactly where that content is going to fall, like how much we want of it, what type of content we want of it. We're going to hash out some ideas for like what on the current site we want on the new site. And then the other requirement was we need it to be editable, not in GitHub. So we had been chatting with Contentful a little bit about getting a support through them for a headless CMS. So you can just go in and edit content through a WYSIWYG, and it'll just show up on the site as you save changes to that. And yeah, and actually that Gatsby prototype I've been playing with does have a Contentful integration out of the box, so we can make that data integration happen, which is nifty. So Rachel, I don't know, has there been more conversation on your end about, or thought on your end about where that could be? Or should we just take the last chunk of time to brainstorm where we want that to go?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should definitely brainstorm. We haven't had too much additional conversation around it, but we definitely want to just be able to get content over and just be collaborative in that aspect. So from a technical standpoint, if there are recommendations, I think we're open to that. So I think brainstorming would be fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. So we could go through the exercise of like walking through the foundation site and seeing what content is in or out and going through the IA, design. And oh my God, really? My browser auto completes when I start writing the foundation site down to foundation.node.js.org, which puts me on a phishing website that somebody set up on Node.js. Just fun. However, I don't know if that's necessarily the best use of everybody's time on the call right now.
Right.
So if we want, I'd be happy to cut the meeting a bit early, call people who don't want to stay on and chat about foundation site structure optional. And like we can just walk through the site and start coming up with an IA proposal in the next 20 minutes about content to keep or cut. If unless other folks have topics to bring up, that might be a good use of time since we have this time blocked off right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to emphasize that anyone who wants to say is definitely welcome.
Yes, please do.
we can help bring you up to speed with anything you want to get involved with.
Awesome. Yeah, and just a reiteration on foundation stuff, like this will not be probably not be part of like V1 of the site, which after the initial like learn page soft launch will include homepage, restyles to API docs, and what was the other one? And the releases page. So that'll be kind of phase 2, and then phase 3 would be beefing up the rest of the site, probably with foundation content and more interactive API docs. So it wouldn't be until later this year that this would actually happen, but I think it's good to start planning and thinking about how it fits into the larger site structure now. Yeah,
I think I am going to drop, but Adam, we should definitely follow up and talk about the sort of glitch stuff and how you think you want it to fit in.
Definitely, yeah. Just ping me on Twitter.
Will do.
We'll get connected.
Bye, everyone.
Sweet.
Thanks.
Bye.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. Anybody on the live stream who wants to take part in this exercise, the link to join is in the GitHub issue. So feel free to jump in and keep chatting. But I'll end the live stream now, and we'll just talk shop about Foundation Site.
Good.
Cool. Bye, everybody on YouTube. See ya.